To wrap up this subsection here, where we're talking about self-inquiry versus self-exploratory ways of learning about the self through your lucid dreams, James writes a couple neat things in his summary of this subsection that kind of just make everything a bit more clear, if it wasn't already blatantly clear enough for you anyway. But he writes, the key difference in making observations of the self in waking life versus lucid dreams is that lucid dreams offer far more possible experiences than waking life ever could. It also makes it possible for us to safely experience things that would be valuable yet dangerous for us to experience in waking life. It is through experiences that we can better understand who we are and become better informed about the areas in which we could improve. And a bit later, the point that I hope I have made compelling is that reliably getting accurate self-reflective information from lucid dreams is only a matter of skill navigation. I like that line. The more reliable and mindful mental states we can achieve within them, so within your lucid dreams, the more we can learn about the self. And it's a little bit off topic, but it reminds me of this lucid dream I was having the other night, where there's been this experiment I've been wanting to try for a couple months here. And, I finally got lucid. I haven't been getting lucid that much here lately. It finally crossed my mind to try this experiment, but I wasn't able to think really clearly enough, and I kind of just ended up screwing up the whole experiment. Maybe I'll share that here later, but continuing. If a dream's content provokes a meaningful response in the dreamer, the self-inquiry approach would orient the dreamer towards observing their own response as the first source of insight. In other words, what the dream says, does, or seems to indicate would take second place to the dreamer's mindful observance of their own experience. In conclusion, how the dreamer reacts internally, emotionally, and physically in the dream is revelatory of the self, because the experience is lucid, not because lucidity enables the dreamer to forcibly make the unconscious become conscious in the dream's content. So I thought that was another important point. And then kind of much later here in a different part of a different subsection, kind of talks about it again, so I thought I would throw it in. Since with self-inquiry, we are mindful of our internal world as we go throughout the dream, we can easily engage in self-exploratory methods as easily as we could be mindful on the go in waking life. With this approach, if I were to ask a profound question directly to my subconscious mind, as if calling out to the dream itself, I would take less than normal interest on the words of the answer and the way it might make the dream rattle, rumble, and shake. Instead, I would be more internally aware of how the answer made me feel and what changes in my experience occurred when I received it. So yeah, I think it's a really neat point of looking at this, and I haven't really heard it talked about like this in many other places, or really any other place off the top of my head at least. And I think James makes a good argument on how useful this self-inquiry approach can be, actually pulling useful information out of your lucid dreams and learning something useful about the self. But anyway, that'll wrap it up. Until the next video, keep the lucid dreaming practice legit.